I invite everybody to close your eyes and imagine you're alone in a room staring at a video camera. You're recording a message for your family, and this is the message they will see from you if you pass away. What would you say? How would you even begin? I was faced with this same challenge less than 2 years ago, but at the time, I had no idea how my love for technology would foreshadow some events in my future life. Now I consider myself a technology and gadget kind of guy. When I woke up this morning, I turned off the alarm using voice commands and subsequently asked for the day's news. After that, I reached out and grabbed my phone to turn down the temperature in the house and to turn on some wake-up music in my kids' rooms. They love that. If I had a technology checklist, it'd sound something like this. Smart home? Check. Hybrid vehicle? Check. Sous vide immersion circulator? Yep, check. I have no fear when it comes to technology, and I cannot wait for the days that we're able to drive Jetson-style briefcase cars, when wearables become implantables, and when we can vacation on the moon. Now, my latest technology fascination has been with virtual reality. The first time I recall hearing about virtual reality was in the early 1990s. I was watching an evening news program, and the host was fiddling with this massive Jetson-style headset. He mused that our future selves would have a difficult time discerning the difference between virtual reality and, well, real reality. Fast forward a couple decades, and when you put on a Vive or Oculus headset, you clearly understand what he was talking about. But based on the images they were providing at the time, it was a little hard to believe. Now, virtual reality has come a long way. It's still being used in the military, like on Black Hawk helicopters, but it's also being used in real estate, to treat phobias, and even in the operating room. Take brain surgery, for example. Virtual reality software utilizes CT and MRI scan data to create a 3D model of everything inside of a patient's head, including their brain, their arteries, nerves, and even tumors if they exist. Here is an actual 3D model of inside a patient's head, of their brain, and of their tumor. In fact, it's my brain and my tumor. In December 2014, I sat in an urgent care office. For 3 months, I had been experiencing piercing headaches each time I would bend over to tie my shoes or even pick something up off the floor. I ignored it for a long time, but as the pain persisted and the urging from my friends and family grew louder to go see someone, I finally went to the doctor. The urgent care doctor strongly recommended that I go directly to the emergency room, but I resisted as I'd been dealing with them for quite a while, and instead agreed to go to a neurologist. The neurologist, as I sat and described my symptoms to him, was going through a list of things that could be causing my symptoms. I kept waiting for him to say something like, "Eat more potassium," but he didn't, as everything on his list was far more severe. He ordered an MRI scan for me, and on New Year's Eve 2014, while the rest of the world was celebrating, he called me with the MRI scan results. It showed that I had a meningioma, a brain tumor. It was in a bad location, and he had to have it removed immediately. So he referred me to a neurosurgeon in order to determine a treatment plan right away. But it was New Year's Eve, and the neurosurgeon's office was closed until January 5th. So I had just a slight bit of anxiety and 5 days to contemplate life. So I did what I thought any sane person would do. I Googled it. Well, a bit of advice: researching something on the internet, like a brain tumor, when you have one in your own head, doesn't exactly take away any of your stress. Well, January 5th came, and I called to schedule my appointment, and the receptionist kindly informed me that she could schedule me in for February 26th, 52 days away. She clearly didn't understand my sense of urgency, but there was no negotiating an earlier date. I panicked. I reached out through my network, and thanks to my phenomenal family and friends, I was able to schedule appointments with 3 top neurosurgeons for that same week. The great thing about all of those appointments is they had virtually the exact same diagnostic and treatment plan. The bad thing? With professional deadpan delivery, they each described that in order to remove my tumor, they would have to perform a craniotomy. A craniotomy. They were going to take off the top part of my skull to access the tumor. I can't even get a simple tetanus shot or give blood without getting lightheaded. And frankly, the first time I heard I was going to have a craniotomy, I passed out. When I woke up, they gave me the rest of the surgical plan. Because of the precarious location of the tumor, which surrounded my carotid artery and pressed against my optic nerve, they couldn't get the whole thing. They would only be able to remove 80%. The other 20%, they would have to attack with radiation. It was one of the scariest days of my life. February 11th, 2015, the day before my surgery, I had just sat alone in a room recording that video message for my family just in case. And that evening, I had to say goodnight to my kids. It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, especially as I had to pretend that everything was going to be okay. The next day, I went to the hospital, and Dr. Neil Martin, chief of neurosurgery at UCLA Medical Center, and my neurosurgeon came by one final time to run down the list of risks associated with the surgery. I was so scared, I think I just nodded along as he spoke. The next thing I can remember is the day after my surgery. I woke up, I could see, I could hear, I could talk. I was alive. I mean, I had a massive headache, but they just took off the top of my skull, so it wasn't a big deal. Dr. Martin came by and shared that the surgery was a tremendous success. But not only was he able to get 80% of my tumor, he was able to get all material pieces of my tumor. But how? That's when I learned technology swooped in to save the day. It turns out Dr. Martin leveraged surgical theater technology, medical virtual reality, to help remove my tumor. By creating a 3D model of everything inside of my head, he could precisely understand the location of my carotid artery and my optic nerve so he could confidently cut infinitely close without taking a risk. My surgeon is an early adopter of technology, and I've never been so grateful in my life to be a guinea pig. So because he was able to remove 99% of my tumor, I didn't have to have any radiation or any other follow-up treatment. In fact, I don't have cognitive challenges. I don't have slurred speech, except for an occasional Saturday night. I don't have any vision problems, no partial paralysis. I could go on and on down the list of things that my internet search told me I might have, but I don't. This technology continues to evolve. Soon, doctors will be able to wear mixed reality goggles in the operating room, which will project images of the brain and the tumor as they operate. And even in the year and a half since my surgery, during a consultation, a patient can now put on virtual reality goggles so they can clearly understand the diagnostic and the treatment plan as the surgeon is describing it. This will give them much more comfort than they've ever had in the past. And as for my time spent sitting in alone, staring at a video camera, recording that video just in case things didn't go so well, thankfully, that video remains safely locked away. I'm incredibly grateful that no one's ever had to watch that video, including myself. And those thanks lie at the hands of Dr. Martin and his surgical team, as well as the technologists at Surgical Theater. Their courage, vision, and willingness to embrace technology helped me avoid the just in case and save my life. My technology checklist has now gotten just a little bit longer. Right under smart home, virtual reality tumor removal, check. Thank you.